Hi guys, how's it going? I'm going to do a quick video on protein. So, how much protein do you really need, and is a vegan diet really deficient in protein? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. First, I'm going to show you, that is my blood sugar, so 4.7 millimoles, and I've probably eaten about 400 grams of carbs today already. Just going to sit down, have my evening meal. Let me show you what I'm going to eat. So this here, guys, is about 900 calories of food, and there is about 187.2 grams of carbs altogether. So don't know how well you can see that. So here I have rice, sweet corn, I've got trimmed green beans, celery, sweet corn, lima beans and sweet chili sauce, and that's what I'm going to eat tonight, guys. So let's see, I'm just going to put in how many carbs I'm going to have and how much insulin. So guys, just to show you how I sort of do it, so what I do is I look at the total amount of carbohydrates using Chronometer that I have, I subtract the fibre, I subtract the fructose, and I get what I call my net carbs, and that's always the carbs that I base my insulin upon, because that is the amount of carbs that your body's going to absorb that need insulin. I've actually got a video of that. It's called How to Calculate Your Net Carbs, I think, or something along those lines. I'll put a link in the description for you to go look at that. And then what I do is, now I know the total amount of carbs that I actually need. So once I do the calculation, it comes out at 151.6, so I'll round that off to 152 grams, and I'll probably use a ratio of about 1 to 30 tonight instead of 1 to 35. So I'm going to divide that by 30 and I get 5. So I'm going to have 5 units of Nova Rapid. This is the insulin I use, and I just inject it in my belly. And that's done. And so today's video, guys, like I said, is going to be about protein. So a lot of you, because like me, you're in the West, and you probably worry about protein, especially if you're a new vegan or someone who's thinking about going vegan. And the reason why is because in our society we have protein shoved down our faces all the time. We're constantly told, we need protein, we need to eat meat for protein, we need more protein so we don't feel hungry. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera, I'm just putting in how much insulin I'm having on my meter so I don't lose track. So we're constantly told that, we need protein and we need to eat animals for protein, and let me tell you, this is a lie. None of us need to eat meat, fish, chicken, eggs, milk, dairy, or any kind of animal products for protein. You will get more than sufficient amount of protein on a whole food, high carb, plant-based vegan diet. You will not be deficient. Ask yourself, how many people out there do you know that you've either heard of or that you personally know that have died of, let's say, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, atherosclerosis, Alzheimer's, obesity, irritable bowel syndrome. How many people do you know who've either died from them, suffered from them, have them, versus protein deficiency? You won't know a single person that has protein deficiency because it doesn't exist. It's not real. The only time you're ever going to be deficient in protein is if you eat a diet that doesn't have sufficient calories. So for example, someone in a concentration camp, between 1939 and 1945 in World War II, someone like that would be on about 1600 calories or less a day, and they probably wouldn't have got enough protein on that, but that was probably some of their least concerns, because they weren't getting enough carbs to fuel themselves either. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are eating sufficient amount of calories, you will always get enough protein on a plant-based diet. You do not need to eat animals to get protein. There's more than enough protein in vegetables. And let's look at what I've eaten today. What have I eaten altogether? So by the time I've eaten that meal, I will have eaten 2,612 calories. I'll have had 74.5 grams of protein. I'll have had 516 grams of carbs. I'll eat something else later on because I usually like to have it around 600. Probably have soup and a little bit of bread. And I've had about 12.4 grams of fat. So how much protein do you really need a day? The World Health Organization, they recommend 42 grams a day. Now then, is this a minimum? Is this a minimum amount of protein that you need to have to survive, or you'll die? The answer is no. You know, when the World Health Organization did this calculation, they did it on what's called a bell curve. So if you plot on like a graph, the amount of people who needed protein based on certain biomarkers in the body that they used for the study, what happened is they got a bell curve like this. So this down here would be, say, 0, this would be about 20 grams, and this here is roughly 40 grams, and it's roughly like that. And what they did is they set the minimum amount of protein here, the high end of the scale, at around 42 grams. And the reason why they did that is that they thought if we set it at 42 grams, then there's hardly any chance of anyone getting any kind of protein deficiency. So that 42 grams has a sort of a margin of error in, or a buffer in. So you want to ask yourself, how much protein will you get in a plant-based diet? So I've had today 74.5 grams of protein. 74.5, and the World Health Organization recommendation is 42 grams, and that has room for error in. So straight away, guys, you can see how much protein you can get in a plant-based diet. There's protein in fruits, there's protein in vegetables, there's protein in potatoes, there's protein in legumes. Where do animals get protein from? They get the protein from the grass they eat, from the grain they're fed, from any vegetables they might eat. Usually, I think some farmers, what they'll do is any vegetables that they can't sell or are a bit off, they'll give to their livestock. So that's how animals get their protein. So they don't need to eat other animals for it. They get it from plants, and the same as they get their protein from plants, we can get our protein from plants. So just to give you a more balanced view, so that's just one day there. I don't want to give you just one day. So let's have a look at the amount of protein I've had since going vegan on a daily basis over the last year. So I went vegan the 9th of November 2014, and I started using Chronometer, Chronometer, about 9th of December 2014, so about a month later. So I'm type 1 diabetic, which means I need to calculate all of my carbs perfectly to work out how much insulin to inject, because I don't produce it anymore. So I actually log all my food every single day religiously, and the reason why I do that is so I can work out the exact amount of carbs, and I use Chronometer for that, so I can give you an accurate breakdown of the protein I have. So I'm just looking at my average for the entire year, so from 24th December last year to today, and I got 67.9 grams of protein on average each day. So I just didn't meet the World Health Organization recommendation of 42 grams a day, which already has a margin of error or a buffer in. I exceeded that. By what's that, 25 grams? So straight away you can see how easy it is to get protein on a whole food plant-based diet, and why you don't need to worry about it. And let's say, I think I've mentioned this in a video before, but it's worth mentioning. Let's say if you're a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, a labourer, someone who genuinely will cause more muscle breakdown because of your occupation or your sport, what are you going to be doing? Well, you're going to be naturally be eating more calories anyway, because you're burning more energy. You therefore need more carbs, more calories, and as you eat more calories, you naturally get more protein. So say if you're on a plant-based diet, let's say, so at the moment I'm averaging 2,887 grams of carbs a day over the last year. Let's say someone who's more active than me in terms of weightlifting and has more muscle mass, they might let's say have 4,000 calories a day, and based on a plant-based diet, that would mean they roughly get 10% of their calories from protein. That would therefore mean 400 calories would come from protein, and 400 calories equates to 100 grams of protein. So on a you know, because that person would naturally be eating more calories, so say 4,000 calories, just as a rough idea, and as a result of that, they're getting 100 grams of protein. You know, so that's that's over 2 times the amount of protein the World Health Organization recommends. So you know, they're safe, and even if you are one of those rare people who genuinely needed more because of your occupation, you can just add in more legumes. So like kidney beans, lima beans, things like that, lentils, red lentils, chickpeas. You just add an extra serving of them in a day, and you'll be fine. So guys, I hope that's useful. I hope that made sense. Don't ever be scared about protein on a whole food plant-based diet. Never eat meat to get protein. It's ridiculous, because when you make the decision to eat meat, fish, chicken, eggs, milk or dairy or animal products to get protein, you're making a decision to put carcinogens in your body. Animal products meet the definition of the word carcinogen. They are the definition of a carcinogen, because they cause cancer. It's been shown time and again. They also cause heart disease, the majority of type 2, and atherosclerosis, Alzheimer's. They're not saying they cause 100% of every single disease or illness in our society, but in the West they cause the majority of what we suffer from. When you take meat into your body, you're taking in saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and this pretty much goes for all animal products. You're taking in high amounts of methionine, choline. You're increasing your risk of being exposed to E. coli and different bacteria and viruses that you can only get from the consumption of animal products generally. You're increasing your chances of, you're intaking heme iron, which you could never get from plant foods, which isn't good for you. So I know that's a bit of a rant, so sorry about that. I wish I'd got this done a bit sooner. So go whole food plant-based. I don't care who you are, type 1 diabetes. Cut out again, sorry there. I don't care if you've got heart disease, if you've got cancer, osteoporosis, obesity. It doesn't matter what health condition you do or do not have. The whole food, the high carb, low fat, low protein, high fiber, whole food, plant-based vegan diet is what every single one of us should be eating. You won't ever get deficient in protein. Never let that hold you back. You'll feel great. You'll have more energy than you've ever had. I hope that was useful. Does that make sense to you? Is there anything that didn't make sense? Do any of you not understand what I was on about? If you didn't understand, put in the comments below and I'll come back and explain more clearly to you. Do you need help? Do you need ideas on what to eat, where to get protein from? Like I said, if you're eating plants, you'll get the protein you need, but I can give you a bit more idea of what plant source is good for protein if you really do want to focus on that. And if you're vegan and if you're watching this, how much protein do you get a day? What do you do? Are any of you watching this through, are you bodybuilders? Are you like Vegan Gains? Are you a powerlifter like, what's his name? Patrick Baboumier, the German fella who's one of the world's strongest men. Are you a labourer, doing heavy intensity stuff? What do you do and how much protein do you need? Share your experience with people below. About how protein isn't an issue. Remember, carb up, never be scared of carbs. I hope that was useful, guys. Until next time, all the best, God bless, and I'll be back with another video soon. Lima beans and sweet chili sauce, and that's what I'm going to eat tonight, guys. So let's see, I'm just going to put in how many carbs I'm going to have and how much insulin. So guys, just to sort of show you how I sort of do it, so what I do is I look at the total amount of carbohydrates using Chronometer that I have, I subtract the fibre, I subtract the fructose. Let me show you what I'm going to eat. So this here, guys, is about 900 calories of food, and there is about 187.2 grams of carbs altogether. So don't know how well you can see that. So here I have rice, sweet corn, I've got trimmed green beans, celery, sweet corn, and I get what I call my net carbs, and that's always the carbs that I base my insulin upon, because that is the amount of carbs that your body's going to absorb that need insulin. I've actually got a video of that. It's called How to Calculate your net carbs, I think, or something along those lines. I'll put a link in the description for you to go look at that. And then what I do is, now I know the total amount of carbs that I actually need. So once I... Hi guys, how's it going? I'm going to do a quick video on protein. So how much protein do you really need, and is a vegan diet really deficient in protein? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. First, I'm going to show you, so that is my blood sugar, so 4.7 millimoles, and I've probably eaten about 400 grams of carbs today already. Just going to sit down and have my evening meal. I do the calculation, it comes out at 151.6, so I'll round that off to 152 grams. And I'll probably use a ratio of about 1 to 30 tonight instead of 1 to 35. So I'm going to divide that by 30 and I get 5. So I'm going to have 5 units of Nova Rapid. This is the insulin I use, and I just inject it in my belly